like, it's bad enough in those types of movies when things are slightly moist, like they've been spritzed recently, but everything in that movie, for no reason, is furry. Like, did you ever imagine Charizard as furry? But he's, like, clearly fuzzy in that movie.
Yeah, they really like they like Bloodborne bossed everybody up.
I think Mr. Mime is... I think it's how they get around the fact that that Pokemon are naked. Like, we'll put fur on them, it'll be fine.
That makes sense.
I mean, you could just leave the genitals off. I don't know why we have to cover them in fur.
Let's not get too crazy. We can make this an anatomy lesson.
Because
you gotta learn something.
Oh no, anatomically correct Mr. Mime. No, don't do it.
Thanks for those mental images.
Oh.
How do I fucking get out of the box? Jesus Christ.
If memory serves, doesn't he mime pouring gasoline around the box and lighting it on fire?
Yes, he does.
What the fuck?
I love how absolutely batshit that movie is.
No one acknowledges it.
I love it. The movie's so fucking weird, and I'm all about it.
Oh my lord. What on earth?
And Mewtwo look fucking badass though.
Oh my god. Anything to do with Mewtwo is my absolute favorite.
Money. Welcome back everyone once again to a new installment of Screenplay Rewind. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
And our Friends and Family Month continues. We have actually, dude, these months always feel like they go by in a fucking flash, don't they, man?
Well, we do record twice as many podcasts as normal, so it is.
That's true.
It does
and
keep us busy.
Time is also a flat circle.
Oh boy, tell me about it.
We have that going for us. But yeah, covering fucking Tombstone this week, dude.
Delicious.
What a roller coaster ride. I always talk about this on the Friends and Family Months, but like Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Avatar,
Thumbelina, and Tombstone. I love it. I love how absolutely fucking, because you know you can always kind of see like a flow to like your selections and my selections and how they're just absolutely Ron and Geoff picks, and you have Thumbelina and Tombstone. Tombstone is potentially one. Had you or I actually ever fucking watched this, I could have potentially seen this being a pick for us just because of the fucking cast. But
right, dude, the cast is absurd.
It's absolutely fucking insane. This is like, oh, if this isn't already the most manly movie ever, here's just Charlton Heston for no fucking reason. Charlton Heston in the movie for like 2 minutes. Like, yeah, he's on the poster. There you go. You're welcome.
Yeah.
This movie could have been renamed Testosterone instead of Tombstone. And I love it. But before we get into the actual show, that's the sequel. Testosterone. Jesus Christ. I think Bobby has a question for us this week, though. And again, if anyone would like to have their prompts or questions read on the show at the beginning, be sure to email us, screenplayrewind@gmail.com. Bobby, we appreciate you emailing in as always. Ron, what does Bobby have to ask us today?
Bobby asks, what is your most disappointing movie, and what was either overhyped or got your heart up just to be destroyed? Mine's Avatar, way too overhyped for me, and just an okay film. He thinks it's okay, Geoff. A-okay.
That is high praise, my friend.
Put that on the box.
First of all, calling it a film and not just a $500 million Pocahontas remake. That is what I would consider it. But
now, my question is the definition of overhyped in that sentence, though, because I feel like there was a lot of like marketing hype for Avatar when it came out, and then it just went away. It just fucking disappeared.
Well, it wasn't just marketing though, because I remember just having friends and like coworkers just like not shut the fuck up about that movie for months. And I'm just like, man, and what's really funny is Bobby actually sent us this question before you and I coincidentally talking about this very subject and Avatar specifically, like last episode. He was like, my bad, I hadn't listened to the episode yet. Because Avatar is the correct answer. Avatar is just like the fact that like they fucking re-released Avatar again just so it could like edge out in-game and money. Like, I want Marvel to release Endgame just so I cannot have to look at Avatar being the highest grossing film of all time, because that just makes me fucking sad for humanity, dude. Because the movie's fucking terrible. It just sucks.
Oh, are we talking James Cameron's Avatar? See, I'm thinking Airbender.
No, the Avatar is...
Oh, fuck that movie.
Yeah, is James Cameron's.
James Cameron.
If it was M. Night's, it would be AHVATAR.
Avatar.
Because Avatar is like the most overhyped movie by a fucking mile. Because like people wouldn't shut up about it. It's terrible. It is incredibly derivative. Fight scenes are very mediocre. The graphics, I'm sure, looked okay in 3D. Do I want to go watch a fucking 3D movie? No. Like, I'm so glad 3D died soon after Avatar did, because, like, fuck it, it was terrible. Like, I'm sure it was fine for Avatar, because I would sure fucking hope it was, since they spent, like, $500 fucking million making that piece of shit. But, yeah.
And it was okay 3D. I ran an IMAX 3D projection system, so I
didn't even see it at the theater.
Yeah, here's the thing. It was simulated 3D, which is what most of those are. It's not filmed in 3D because that's way too much fucking work. And on top of that, it was mostly faked with the way that they do the animation in the movie. So yeah, it looks good, but I'm a snob when it comes to that type stuff, because I ran the pinnacle of that technology, the IMAX 3D system, for like 9 years. And 3D that goes into the screen rather than coming out of the screen to you is just always a gimmick to me. Just fuck off with that bullshit.
Well, another thing that really, and I actually have I have a couple of answers for this that aren't Avatar. I just wanted to further elaborate. Like, one common thing that also pissed me off about the defenders of that movie, where like, you don't get it. It's not meant to be a good movie. It's meant to be a spectacle.
Fuck off.
And it's just like, that is the most fucking splitting hairs bullshit I've ever heard. Like, okay, I'm sorry. Have you seen The Matrix? Your movie can be a spectacle and also just a good fucking movie with like cool characters. It's such a fucking cop-out excuse. Like, can anyone name 3 characters' names in Avatar? I sure as hell can't.
I don't remember if there's more than 3 characters. There's just the wheelchair guy, right?
Well, can you name the names of any characters in the movie? That's what I'm saying. Can anyone name out there 3 characters' names from Avatar?
I can't remember 3 characters, period. I just remember the guy in the wheelchair, Sam Worthington.
I remember Stephen Lang, probably the only redeeming part of the movie, being the bad guy. And I think Sigourney Weaver's in it just because she's buddies with fucking Cameron. But I don't even think she's in the movie for very long, if I remember. I haven't seen it in like 12 years, and I never plan to watch it again unless someone fucking picks it next year. I swear to God. Someone's going to pick it out for next year.
My dad played it on repeat. He played it on loop.
Dude, why?
It's his favorite movie.
Have you ever talked to him about it? Like, what does he like about it? Because the characters are bland. The plot's a fucking remake of like Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas blended together. Like, the action's blood. It's way too fucking long. That movie could have been an hour and a half and had the same fucking plot line. What was that stupid ass name they had for the Unobtainium? Go fuck yourself, James Cameron.
Oh, I like that name. And that isn't that also the name of the metal from the core? Didn't they steal that from the core? Upside Down Armageddon.
I mean, if there's one thing Avatar was good at, it was ripping off established movies. So it probably was.
I'm pretty sure that's the name that the bus, the train that goes underground in the core is made out of.
But yeah, fuck Avatar. And now I'm absolutely positive. I bet Bobby himself picks Avatar next year just to make us watch that shit again. Dude, you thought I was livid about Airbender? I can get equally livid about that fucking piece of shit. I hate that movie, and I hate that it has. How does Avatar have more money domestically and internationally than fucking Endgame when it comes to the box office? That blows my fucking mind, man. Like, come on, people, what are you doing? Because like people just got like fucking brainwashed, and like you said, like how your dad was watching it on repeat. People were going back to the theater to watch it like 4 and 5 times, and it's just like, ugh. Why? I saw it one time at home on like Blu-ray. I was like, I'm never fucking watching this shit again.
I was so bored the whole time. And everyone's like, oh, the graphics are so good. I'm like, the graphics on World of Warcraft are better. I was an avid World of Warcraft player back then. And I was just like, the graphics on World of Warcraft. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like this before. I'm like, go to World of Warcraft. Like,
Yeah,
you see it all the time.
their character design was just like
It looks like the blue
really-
people from World of Warcraft.
yeah, it was very odd looking. I don't know, but let's. So, do you have an answer that's not Avatar though that you wanted to answer? Because I have a couple, but you can go ahead since I've been rambling about Avatar for like 5 minutes.
This could be a hot button issue. I don't know. Depending on what few listeners we have, I might drive them away. Are you going to talk overhyped? Black Panther sucks.
Black Panther is not a good movie.
I do not like that movie.
It's not terrible, but it is
It's
like
pretty
it
terrible.
it got nominated for Best Picture.
Nope.
That is insane. That's fucking insane.
It's not well shot. It's not well acted. The story sucks. The action is boring. The choreography's bad. Costumes were all bad.
The one cool fight scene was in the trailer too, which is really disappointing.
Like nothing. There was nothing good about that movie or redeemable.
Andy Serkis was good, and then they killed him after like fucking 10 minutes.
I don't understand.
That pissed me off too.
He's the teaser
like one
for
of
the movie in Ultron.
He's one of the like only cool characters they have going for them, and they just fucking killed him off. It was just like, well, okay, this is weird. I don't dislike it quite as much as you do. Like, I wouldn't say it's terrible. I just think that it is incredibly overrated, and people just kind of got like wrapped up in the hype around it. So I think that's actually a good pick for this.
Because I didn't go to theaters because I was like, I watched the trailer. I was like, that does not interest me. Waited for it. It came out. Watched it at home, and I was just like, ugh. Like I did not like it. Did not care for it. That was the end of the story. Like, no one would shut up about what a masterpiece of cinema it was. And I just started getting so angry, Geoff. I just started
I like
getting so angry.
People constantly talk shit about Thor 2. I would much rather watch Thor 2 than Black Panther.
Thor 2 is a great movie. I love that movie.
I get that Thor,
it has
Thor
its
2
problems.
It has a lot of problems, but at least is like entertaining to me and has moments that make me laugh. I couldn't tell you a single fucking joke in Black Panther. I remember I remember a grand total of like 10 minutes for Black Panther. And even though I didn't hate it as much as you did, I do agree that I think that's a very good selection for this. Yeah. I have one that I think you'll agree with.
All right.
Another one that people wouldn't shut the fuck up about that I found incredibly okay, meh, Arrival. Remember everyone freaking out about Arrival?
That movie I thought was awful.
I, again, didn't think it was terrible. I also, like, kind of ruined it for myself by figuring out the twists, like, 30 minutes into the movie. And like, because that's supposed to be, like, that's supposed to be, like, a revelation to, like, recontextualize the movie. And I figured it out like really early, and then when it happened, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's it. It's like all built around that twist." It's like, "Oh, okay."
Hold on, I just thought of another one. Yeah, Arrival. Another one I thought was shot poorly. I thought was written poorly. I thought it was acted
I would
poorly.
disagree. I would disagree in that instance. I actually think because it was Denis Villeneuve and I believe it was the same cinematographer from Sicario. I thought it looked good. And I thought it was shot pretty well, but I just thought the story was really, really overrated.
Here's the one that I just thought of. It's got one redeeming moment, but it's not redeeming enough to save the movie. And it's funny because I heard a lot about this movie coming out. It came out. I heard a lot about it. It all went away. I think Bobby loaned it to me. I watched it. I was like, all right. And then never thought about it again. And now recently, within the past few months, I've been hearing people talking about this movie again. And I'm just like, why? Annihilation.
I actually like Annihilation, but I can kind of get that.
Mm-mm.
I could get that being overrated, but I actually like Annihilation.
I did not care for it one bit, except for
the bear scene.
You know what? Yes, the bear.
The bear scene. The bear scene's fucking
the
amazing.
Ursa Major scene. Holy shit.
That movie I wouldn't say is like amazing, but I do think it sets like
it's
a
so
tone really well.
I think
the when they just I like the weird shit they stumble upon that like hardly ever gets like explained, like the the hybrid like fucking crocodile thing was pretty cool. There's some cool scenes to it. It just is overall. I would agree.
It's got some cool concepts, but nothing is knitted together in a cohesive way. Like nothing.
The characterization, especially of Natalie Portman in that movie, is not good.
They could just cut her completely out of it, and the movie doesn't. It probably goes up a little bit, but for the most part, doesn't change. I think.
I'm also just not a big fan of Natalie Portman in general.
Either.
I've never found her to be that good of an actor, and she's not the worst, but yeah. I have one that would piss off our potential audience if we had like diehard horror buffs. Have you ever heard of It Follows?
Yes, I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
People fucking love that movie, and I don't get it. I watched it once. I didn't find it particularly scary out of like a couple of scenes that were shot pretty well, but the characters are fucking annoying, and it's always a big problem when your movie is like trying to make it more than just a slasher film, but you take the slasher approach of having characters that you would like, you're almost rooting to see die, you know?
Yeah.
And then it just kind of like breaks down the movie, because like if it's not a slasher movie, you're not supposed to feel that way. If they're trying to make it, you know, like an elevated horror movie where you actually like get invested in the characters, you're not supposed to be rooting for them to die. So it was just like kind of an awkward place for the movie to kind of to rest in my mind, to where I found it super, super overrated.
The other one, I never saw this one either, but I've always heard a lot of hype around the Babadook, and you didn't care for it either, right?
I really liked it. I think the ending is kind of the Babadook overall is very good. I just have some issues with the ending of it that I found kind of weird, but I think the Babadook is like a bajillion times better than It Follows was.
I've never seen like any of those movies. There was like a long list of movies there. Like I know It Follows is one of them people talked about a lot. There's another one that I hear people talk about a lot. Summer.
Oh, God, it's from the Hereditary guy.
Yeah, Hereditary is another one I've never seen. I hear a lot about.
Hereditary is one of my favorite horror movies. Hereditary is one that actually just totally did live up to the hype for me. I just fucking love that movie. God, it's Ari Aster's the director. It is Midsummer. That's what it is.
Midsummer. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people talk about it.
Midsummer is pretty good. You would probably dislike it because it's more of like one of those like abstract type of horror movies instead of like a traditional one. It's weird. Like I can recommend Hereditary to people. I can't really recommend Midsummer to anybody personally. But yeah, I think that we got some good examples right there. Number one, the correct answer is Cameron's Avatar, because fuck that movie.
I did have one other one I was gonna say, because I mean, yeah, Black Panther was my biggest one. I think is overhyped, but one that I got myself so psyched for and was so excited for that let me down. I know the books have their issues because the first one's written by like a 13 or 15-year-old kid, and there's a lot of blatant Star Wars ripping off and Zelda ripping off and stuff. Mm-hmm. But as he got older and those books go on and he honed his writing skills, they get really good. Is Aragon, the first book in the Inheritance cycle.
Yeah.
And that movie can go fuck itself so hard that it fucks itself again.
Yeah, that's your, like, you even talked about it in the Airbender episode about how the Airbender adaptation is like your Aragon, how that just gets your fucking blood pumping. And now Bobby's probably gonna pick that just to fuck with you next year.
Probably.
just to have, like, you know how you were just basically sitting back eating popcorn listening to me rant about Airbender for an hour and a half? I'll probably be doing that for Aragon at some point.
It had so much going for it. It even had Jeremy Irons perfectly casted for Brahm. And he's the guy that trains Aragon. He's a former dragon rider. He lost his dragon, therefore he lost his powers. His dragon sacrificed itself to save him. And he's just like this old, basically the old knight that trains the young knight in that stereotypical kind of relationship. He's like the Obi-Wan of the thing, and he's perfectly cast in that role. And being Jeremy Irons, he plays the role perfectly as well.
Fucking love Jeremy Irons, dude.
God damn, I love
that
it.
man.
That guy can hone in, or he can chew up all the scenery, and he's never crosses the line. Either one.
You want to talk about just a little bit of acting that makes you immediately deserve, at the very least, a Best Supporting Actor Oscar. When you can make scenes in Batman v Superman watchable. Like, that's just next level acting right there.
You want to see his range?
Him as Alfred was actually, like, really good.
And Alfred's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
If you want to see his range, because, yes, he has some really over-the-top performances, but they don't go beyond the scope of the movie. That when he has those performances, they're within the limits of the movie. They're what you expect for that movie. So if you want to see him be really, really good, Die Hard with a Vengeance, right?
God, love that.
Fucking
how
terrifying.
have we not covered Die Hard and Die Hard 3?
I think we said last year we were going to for our franchise stuff this year, if I recall.
Yeah, we need to do that. We need to correct that.
I also think we still were going to do Transformers this year.
Oh, I'm just like fucking fly hands over here waiting for that to happen. It's like I could sit back and listen to like Ron Luce's shit. No, I'll be right there when we get to fucking what's the one with the goddamn I can't read robots. What's that?
Is
Is that the second one? I am right there with you.
Revenge of the Fucked, I think.
Fuck that movie. Revenge of the Fallen. That sounds right.
We don't read so much.
Very quickly, another incredibly overrated franchise.
Yeah.
Fast and the Furious. Fast and the Furious got so huge.
I haven't seen enough of them to know. I don't know.
Like half the Fast and the Furious movies are bad. Some of them are really good.
From what
Some of them
I
are
understand,
great.
they're kind of up my alley though. So I don't know.
Well, there's you'll probably like all of them because they're just like fucking popcorn flicks. You just turn your brain off.
They're kind of up there with Transporter 2 getting the bomb off the bottom of the car using the crane, right? Like, I think that was 2.
But here's the thing, is I like entries of it that are just totally like you turn your brain off nonsense popcorn flicks that they're like Fast 5 is fun. The 7th one's pretty good. Some of them are just garbage, and like every one of them makes a bajillion fucking dollars at the box office, and people just eat that shit up. They're like still fucking making them, but like 2/3 of them are just they have fucking spinoff series going
Hobbs
too.
And Shaw.
Yeah, they have like the next one's supposed to be like fucking space, which I'm like, okay, I'll probably watch that one because it's in space, and I'm an idiot sometimes and enjoy it. This is a really stupid movie, but yeah.
Fast and Furious in space.
Sunday. How about we talk about let's talk about how about we talk about the movie though, because we could have about fucking overrated. Like very few.
Wait, was
very
this a
few
movie?
things.
I just ate a lot of frozen pizza for this podcast. I didn't even think that it might be a movie.
This is a review tube, so next week it's gonna be Red Baron.
and
we wrap it up with DiGiorno.
And then Panucci's.
Yeah, there you go. But let's talk about it. Again, thank you, Bobby, for emailing in. If anyone else would like to do so and have your prompt read on the show, screenplayrewind@gmail.com. We appreciate it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about like how fucking bonkers is it that this movie has the cast that it does and came out in like the time period that it did, and you and I hadn't seen this movie until this week. That's crazy to me.
So many names that even one of them would get us into the theaters to watch this movie. All jam-packed in here. Neither one of us had ever sought it out.
Crazy. I'd always wanted to watch it. It's just one of those, like, you have like a list that you're just like, yeah, I'm eventually going to watch all of these like 15 movies, and it's just on that fucking purgatory list that you just never get around to. And this is like one of the top ones, and I'm so glad Buppy picked this because it's gonna be fun to talk about. And I what was your initial reaction to it? Did you like it?
My initial reaction to it was, is it just me or am I crazy? I know this movie is made in 1993, but it feels like every Western I have ever watched is based on this movie. Like, this is the quintessential Western.
Right.
Even though it's newer than a lot of those entries.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like
also,
it's such a good love letter to classic Westerns, even in like the this like the soundtrack and the editing of it is very Western, but like not cheesy at the same time. You know, I thought it was actually really well done to be like an homage to the classic Westerns of the 50s and 60s, while also not being like too campy about it. You know,
also with the way that it's filmed and the style. Did you keep getting flashbacks to The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
I mean, this was a heavy influence. I get that Mandalorian's influenced by Westerns in general, but it's obvious that this movie in particular was a heavy influence, especially as he's like rounding up his friends to go on the warpath.
Yeah, his ragtag group of scoundrels and outlaws. Yeah, love it. Yeah, I really, really dug this movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it, and
all right, that's our show. Thanks for listening.
There you go. The fact that I hadn't seen what I think this is Val Kilmer's best performance by like a mile. I love Val Kilmer in this especially. I think he has such great
Before
lines.
I could say that, I would have to watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang again.
That's the only other one that gets close, because he and Robert Downey are fucking like, we need to cover that on the show.
Yes,
I love that
do.
movie, and they're amazing. It's between that and this for best Val. It's like 1A and 1B, but like, man, Val Kilmer is so fucking awesome in this movie, dude.
I don't know though. Batman Forever.
What's that? That's true. That's got to be up there. That's 1C, you know. But that fucking scene, dude, where he's the outlaw's talking shit to him. He's like, "You're so drunk, you're probably fucking seeing double." And he pulls out his second gun. I've got 2 guns. I can get one for each of you. It's like, fuck yes, dude. Love it. The cup is great.
The cup, that was amazing.
God, I love it. I love his characters so much. He's and what's crazy too is like, this movie has Kurt Russell, who is my boy. The Thing is basically my favorite movie, and I love Kurt Russell in this, but Val Kilmer like steals the movie for me.
Do you ever remember Kurt Russell being so goddamn skinny? Holy shit. There's nothing to him in this movie.
Yeah. He had to, I mean, he was still getting, he had to kind of just stay on the warpath to be in, he was still in a lot of action movies in the 90s, even though he was probably late 40s by that point, like maybe early 50s.
Like, Snake Plissken's not fucking ripped like Rambo or something, but like, dude, there's no man to Kurt Russell in this movie.
Yeah. Vice versa. I barely recognized Billy Bob Thornton.
I know,
because Billy Bob Thornton was kind of like kind of husky. I was like, is that Billy? Because you can tell by the voice. You're like, oh shit, that's Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
But he's always just, he's always been like, ever since like maybe ever since like Sling Blade, that kind of like put him on the map. But like, he's always been more playing like these kind of like lanky characters.
Yeah, and I forgot he was there.
And he's just fucking unrecognizable in this. Dude, Stephen Lang.
I never found him. Where the fuck is he? I never found him.
Stephen Lang is the slimy dude that gets away at the train station. Who gets away at the very end.
He cuts his face with the spur?
That's Stephen Lang.
Holy shit.
Yeah, not even recognizable, man.
Huh.
Fucking nuts. Yeah, this cast is just fucking
Michael Rooker had an odd cast for an odd casting for Michael Rooker in a way.
Odd casting for a few people. I thought it was very interesting how you had like actors like Bill Paxton and Michael Rooker playing good guys, and then you had someone like Michael Biehn playing one of the like just complete asshole villains. Because Michael Biehn is pretty much always a good guy, right? I don't ever remember him being a villain.
So, yeah.
This. So they have, and then you have Charlton Heston playing Charlton Heston as only he knows how to do.
Yeah.
Man.
Let's see. I don't remember him being in The Mandalorian, but I don't know most of the stuff in his IMDb. But anyways, yeah, he's in Command and Conquer Tiberian's son. I don't remember that. Yeah, then Michael Rooker like defaulting to being one of the good guys and not really being slimy, like, is crazy. Just mind blowing. Powers Booth being so unhinged,
dude. Powers Booth. This is like the most Powers Booth performance ever, and I'm all fucking about it, dude. Was there anyone that was better at playing just a slimy piece of shit than Powers Booth?
When I think of
Man, I
Powers
miss that
Booth,
guy.
I think of. Do you remember him? The most recent thing I remember him in before he passed away was Agents of Shield.
Yeah.
That is the type of role, or like at the end of the Avengers. That's the type of role I think of when I think of Powers Booth. But this movie, holy crap!
Yeah, he's dude. When he gets high and just starts shooting up the fucking town.
Yeah,
and he's just smiling and laughing about it. It's tough to. And then like, oh my god, the opening sequence, man, when they murder everyone at the wedding and then take over like the wedding feast, and
it's
you're
like
just like,
they knew we were coming.
It's so gross, but it really establishes just how much of a bunch of fucking scumbags they are, man.
And that's the moment too that they establish Michael Rooker's kind of disgusted with the gang, and I was just like, wow. Every Michael Rooker character I know would be all about what is happening right now.
He's always like outside.
His Walking Dead character is him in just about everything, or like him in Guardians. Right? It's him in everything.
He's just always playing, like, even in Guardians when he's a good guy, he's still kind of that archetype, you know, that just like
he's a slime ball. He's just a slime ball on your side.
Yeah, he's just a lovable asshole.
Whereas here, there's no honor amongst thieves, so he's out. And it's just like, what is happening?
Yeah, you have Thomas Hayden Church. Thomas Hayden Church, like, when Thomas Hayden Church is like the super like young dude in the cast is really weird too, because I kind of think of him nowadays.
I bet in his death scene he wished he had his Sandman powers, because holy shit.
Yeah, it's tough. Oh, another cool thing.
Is that what you default to when you think of him, by the way? Because I always think of Wings when he played Lowell, the mechanic.
Yeah, I default to
I was just like, lol, no.
I default to Sandman too, just that's the first thing. But he's been, quite a bit. He just I feel like he kind of like drifted away a little bit over the last few years. He had a run there after bad. I really like Thomas Hayden Church. He had a run there after that Sideways movie that people really liked, but I never saw.
Watched it.
Where he was just kind of like, getting like more up their roles. He just in a bunch of movies that I just never got around to watching. Another cool bit of casting, Dana Delaney, who plays Josephine,
Andrea
the actress,
Beaumont herself,
is the fucking Phantasm. Yes. I was like, what? Because I was wondering where I recognized her voice, and it was from the Phantasm. It's so cool.
Yeah, she's the motherfucking Phantasm. Then later is revealed was hired by Amanda the Wall Waller to kill Terry McGinnis's parents, because the world cannot survive without a Batman.
God, those shows are so good.
Oh,
I need to watch them all.
We need a podcast to cover those. This Batman Animated Series and Batman Beyond.
Yes.
Oh.
Will we decide to do that and never be able to come up with a name for the show? Also, yes.
I think we could name it easier than we could the Futurama spin-off.
Oh, Batman has so many different just types of names you could go with, like different like puns and stuff you can think of. Futurama. If you just want to feel sad, just Google Futurama podcast and look at some of the fucking unfortunate titles for even the famous ones. And just like, I feel less bad about not being able to name our fucking show. But I would totally be down to just do them in kind of chronological order, just like moving through Batman the Animated Series and like Beyond and Justice League and stuff.
I don't know about you, but I always considered Beyond to be the next 3 seasons of animated series.
Pretty much.
Like the final 3 seasons of that show, because that's essentially what they are.
And then they had...
And there's a cool story to how it came about as well.
Yeah. And then Justice League Unlimited was kind of the ending of it, was the kind of culmination of all the shows, which was really cool that they actually took the time to like wrap up 5 different fucking shows at once. It's pretty cool.
There's a great speech Superman gives at the end of Unlimited, I believe, when he's knocking the shit out of Darkseid. He's knocking him into orbit, and then he's coming back down, and he's there waiting for him, Dragon Ball Z style. And he gives this amazing speech about living in a cardboard world and how he has to be so ginger and so careful about his surroundings and everything he touches and friends that like he embraces and stuff. And then he was like, but you big guy, you can take it, can't you? And he just zips over in front of him and uppercuts him into orbit.
So yeah, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, that I think George Newbern, I think, is the actor. He's my favorite Superman, I think. He's just so good. I love their characterization of Superman too. Like they because usually Superman is the one that I'm just kind of like about, but I always really loved his portrayal in those cartoons. I loved it.
Real quick before we get back on topic, another thing about that show always did for me is I never understood the point of the Justice League when you just had Superman. But that show usually makes a real strong kind of argument for, like, Superman is a really good generalist, but then you have the Flash and you have Batman and you have Green Lantern.
Martian Manhunter. They would have been fucked in so many instances if Martian Manhunter wasn't overpowered as fuck.
Yeah. Like,
he's just, yeah.
Yeah, they make a really good case for why everyone on that team is needed in that show. It's so good.
Yeah. So good.
So good. And fucking Hot Girl is horny as hell in that show.
Oh
dude.
yeah. Oh dude, their Green Lantern is also badass. Their Stewart.
John Stewart is amazing.
Fucking awesome.
Anyways,
fucking awesome, dude.
I think we were talking about something else. I don't remember.
That was like 12 tangents ago. Another good name for a podcast. 12 tangents. God damn it. Jesus Christ, dude.
We have like 18 spinoffs at this point, but not Futurama.
Not Futurama. It's just never gonna happen. Yeah, it's never gonna happen. I don't think we mentioned Sam Elliott playing Sam Elliott. By the way, has Sam Elliott aged a fucking day in the last 30 years? I think he's an android. I think he is an android, and that's how his mustache actually works. He's a fucking robot.
I think Sam Elliott is the mustache. I think whenever its host body dies, the mustache just moves on to a new body.
Why does that sound like a Futurama like plot to me?
It just like wriggles Sam off Elliott, the face and finds a new host, like a symbiote, and then he has like Venom mustache powers.
And it's like, you know how like they have the heads in jars, instead of Sam Elliott's head, it's just Sam Elliott's mustache in the jar. Why are we like, hey, is it Hulu that's bringing Futurama back? Fucking hire us, dude.
Oh my God.
We just gave you, that's like a 3-episode arc that writes it fucking self, man. We can't come up with a name for the podcast, but we can come up with plots for episodes. Jesus. But yeah, the cast in this movie is just, everyone's perfectly casted, even if they're playing like atypical roles, what they typically would. I actually like Michael Biehn a lot in this. Like, Michael Biehn is usually, I just think of him as that kind of, you know, what's his name in Alien? I just think of him as that.
Oh, dude. Oh no, come on. You gotta get it.
Nah, dude, I'm it's really late and I'm tired.
Oh, come on. You don't remember Corporal Hicks?
Corporal Hicks. Yeah, I just thought of it. Hicks. Okay. So I can only have so much room in my brain, and it's all dedicated to names of podcasts that are never going to happen.
Alien for a reason.
Okay.
And then we get Aliens 2.
But I think of him as that type of character where he's like a smart ass, but he's like a lovable smart ass, and he's just like a fucking asshole in this. And I'm all about it. Like, I think he's really good. Like that scene in the saloon where it's just him like twirling the gun around, and then Val Kilmer twirls the cup around is awesome.
Oh my God. I love that scene so much. Because we have to work it in somehow. We're contractually obligated. That is how I feel anytime I see an invader in Dark Souls try to do something cool. I feel like I just have the cup.
Yeah.
Because that's all I got. That's all I can do.
Yeah. God, I fucking love Doc Holliday in this movie so much. His introduction.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah, it's so good. So fucking good.
The callback to it. Oh my God.
It's great.
Can we talk about Doc Holliday for a second? Because the makeup on Val Kilmer.
Oh man, he just looks so unfortunately sickly the whole time. You just feel bad for him the whole time because he just looks clearly
so bad. And then when he's on that 36-hour bender,
yeah,
and his girl's just pouring him another drink, and it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's tough to watch, and he's also very good at playing like where he's clearly. I love that quote too. It's like, nonsense. I have not yet begun to defile myself. There's a lot of great dialogue in this. It's a lot of great one-liners that I really appreciated, especially from Doc Holliday. But what's that in his introductory scene when he's playing poker? He has one really fun line too. Where he's like, you know, Ed, if I thought you weren't my friend, I just don't think I could bear it. Love it. Every fucking scene with him is just money, dude.
Oh my God, he's got
like the quotes. Like, if you just look at the fucking quotes page, it's like 3/4 Doc Holliday. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so good. What does he say? He's down by the creek, walking on water. Like the way he delivers that line.
So good.
So good.
It made me sad that I had never watched this movie because I was like, I've been missing out on this amazing fucking performance of his. Because I've always liked Val Kilmer, but man, to like just have not seen arguably his like best performance makes me sad. But you know, it's fun to discover stuff later on, and yeah, he's amazing. I fucking dude, if you want to just mentally scare yourself, think about what it'd be like to have Kurt Russell get in your face and just calmly tell you how much of a piece of shit you are. Like that fucking Billy Bob scene, dude. When he just walks in, he just walks up to him, just fucking slaps him a couple times. And he's like, "Are you gonna do something? Or are you just gonna stand there and bleed?" And you're just like, "Oh my god!"
That is one of the manliest things I've ever heard.
That is one of the best fucking lines I've ever heard.
And then cut to Guardians of the Galaxy too. Now, if you excuse me, I have to take a whiz.
that sequence too.
He's
when
a
Billy,
god.
like,
I have to take a whiz.
I fucking love after they have that scene when Billy Bob Thornton goes to get the fucking shotgun, and then just calmly after Billy Bob figures out who they all are, fucking Kurt Russell just calmly tells him to just put the fucking shotgun down. He just does it. He's like, "Yeah, I do it too, dude."
And then, he thanks him as he leaves.
It's so great. It's so fucking great, man. Oh my god. Man,
that line that Doc Holliday has near the end, wanting revenge for being born.
Yeah, this movie.
That sounds like a great description of the Joker, if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, like this movie has moments where they kind of elevate it, you know, because this movie easily could have been just kind of a campy Western throwback, which it is in certain instances, but I don't think it's never taking itself like too seriously, but it has that kind of like tone of classic Westerns, but they also kind of really take the time to flesh out specifically, like you talked about, like Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer's relationship. Like he's like fucking Val Kilmer is almost more of a brother to him than his own brothers were. Like they're like that scene at the end when he's in the hospital. Oh, by the way, spoilers for Tombstone. I don't think we cleared that, but yeah, there you go. That scene at the end, dude, when he is laying in the hospital bed is it's so sad and so well acted.
I don't want to play anymore.
It's tough to watch too, and just the simple fact that it's like his last request is for him to leave just so he won't watch him die is heartbreaking.
If you ever felt anything for me, you'll leave now.
And I did a little research into it, and when he died, he was only 36 years old.
Jesus, that's how old I am now.
Yeah, it's a real fucking shame. And have you heard how he got tuberculosis? It's very sad too.
No.
He got it when he was taking care of his mother, who had been diagnosed with it. He got it when he was taking care of her during her like initial like because apparently like after you've had tuberculosis for a while, you're not really as contagious as you are at the beginning. Like you can pass it on, but it's very, very rare. But yeah, he took care of his mother during the initial stages. I think the article said like during the first couple of weeks, like when they're at their sickest, and he got it from his sick mother. It's so sad. Man, what a great character. Fucking love Doc Holliday.
The way that they characterize him the first time you see him, especially when after he takes his drink and he throws the cup in the bag too. It's the same cup later he's tossing around, isn't it?
I think so.
And then he takes all the other money sitting there on his way out. The way they characterize him immediately is great. You're Daisy if you do.
Yeah, they do such a good job establishing Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, and a lot of this stuff is actually based on true events. They kind of fudge some of the details, but I think enough of it is legit to make it like a pretty respectful, you know, look back at some of these actual, because it's always kind of a touchy subject, you know, like because like they were actual people,
right?
So sometimes you want to be kind of like careful how much you kind of like go into detail, like how much you need to change for the sake of it being a movie, how much because you also have to kind of honor, you know, these fucking characters who are actual people and, you know, still have, you know, living families to this day. So you have to be kind of just, but I feel like everyone was portrayed really respectfully while also being complete badasses.
Yeah. Who were you wanting to go to next before I cut you off?
Oh, I just want to talk. We jumped into the cast because of fucking course we did, but I want to talk about how the directors.
Right.
George P. Cosmatos is credited as the director to it. I think they actually had. I think they have him and the writer Kevin Jarre
But he's credited as only directing Charlton Heston. Am I looking that right?
Maybe he's kind of like a emergency second unit.
It says Kevin Jarre, and then in parentheses, Charlton Heston scenes.
I can't tell if that's also saying Charlton Heston was an uncredited director, since they actually have.
I get the feeling that they're saying they went back and did reshoots with Charlton Heston, and he directed them. Is the feeling I'm getting?
It's possible.
I should have looked into it, but I was just like, "What am I?" Because it's in parentheses next to his name.
Very weird, but yeah, if you actually look into George P. Cosmatos' career, he did some interesting stuff. He had Tombstone, Leviathan, Cobra, Rambo: First Blood Part 2. He had like a little run there of it's big variety. Like, if you think of like Leviathan versus Tombstone,
Cobra.
It's yeah, I gotta love Cobra.
The Ramble. Just look up the Ramble podcast of Jerry Rocha, Eddie Pence, and Cody Villafonte, and they did an entire review of Cobra, and it is amazing.
Also, just gotta love like how back-to-back Cobra and Rambo: First Blood Part 2, two of the best posters I've ever seen. Just right there in the IMDb, just absolute money.
The by the way, the premise of their review series is Cody is a legit movie critic, and he's also very young, and he hasn't seen a lot of shit like Cobra, and they just love forcing him to watch all this shit, and then they come back and review it with him, and he just hates his life, and he hates them, and he hates the show, and he hates everything to do with everything. Oh, it's so good.
I could totally see it. And the writer for Tombstone, Kevin Jarre, co-wrote The Mummy.
I saw that.
One of our favorites from the 90s is
one I'm hoping to cover soon.
That's one we have. Weren't we considering that for one of the franchise coverages too?
I believe so. I think we wanted to put some space between that and Indiana Jones, but
that's because we had debated actually doing Mummy first, right?
I believe
then we ended up going with because we were gonna do one and then take a break for a bit and go back and do the other one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we had a second debate if we went right into the Mummy afterwards, and it's just like we just did 4 movies of that genre.
Yeah.
So we gave
but yeah, Kevin Jarre similarly to Cosmatos had an interesting run in the late 80s. So he wrote First Blood Part 2, and then that's where he has the lineage with Cosmatos. And then when you go in a row like Glory, Tombstone, The Devil's Own, and The Mummy, that's a pretty strong run. He didn't really write anything after The Mummy, according to IMDb, but if that's what you had on your plate, like fuck, even like Glory and Tombstone by themselves are really strong entries. I've always heard Glory is fantastic. I've just never gotten around to actually watching it.
I've never seen it.
It's on that fucking purgatory list I was telling you about, like with Tombstone, where it's one of those where it's just like, I really need to watch that movie. It's a glaring omission in the movie list that I've seen, and just never got around to it. So
and one thing I appreciate about this movie overall, we didn't even mention, it doesn't go in like, the movie doesn't start the day Wyatt Earp is born. Like, we narrate his career and just get to the fucking meat and potatoes of the movie. It's also really good writing to like establish Wyatt Earp's character in the way that the townspeople react to even his name. Yes.
Like when he goes into the saloon and the guy doesn't even believe who he is until he goes over and just makes Billy Bob look fucking silly. And he's like, and that dude, how awesome is that after that happens? Before Wyatt Earp walks out of the saloon, he's just like, he's talking to the barkeep owner, and he's just like, so how does 25% of the income, or like sad? He's like, yes.
And then, again, to drive the point home, when Billy Bob comes back with the shotgun, and he's just like, Wyatt Earp? And they're like, oh, you're still there. I forgot you were there. You may go. Leave the shotgun. Like, just like the way he's panicking as he realizes who everybody standing in front of him is great.
Yeah, just fucking great. One character, another person, one of the supporting cast that's very good, even is always great, even though he's in very limited screen time, is Terry O'Quinn.
Yes.
Another guy you and I really like. My favorite character from Lost probably was, he was so good as Locke. I absolutely love Terry O'Quinn, and he is in very few scenes, but he's one of those perfect actors to get for, because he has a couple of moments where they really need the mayor's like lines of dialogue to hit. And Terry O'Quinn's one of those guys he's only giving the movie for 2 minutes total, but he will deliver on those sequences, and he's always, you know, he always worked for the scene, and you always buy what he's saying.
There is no reason why we couldn't have had at some point in movie history a more serious version of Indiana Jones, like its own franchise, but that one that took itself more seriously, starring Terry O'Quinn as just the badass in the movie. You know, the badass adventurer. It would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah, I really like him too. Man, this is scrolling through this cast is just fucking mesmerizing. It's just
he had a show on Discovery or a History Channel or something too that was really good.
Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah, that he hosted. Yeah, and then let's not forget Rocketeer. He's Howard Hughes, right?
Howard Hughes, right? Yeah, he's Howard Hughes. I've always meant to watch that movie. He's the lead in. You ever seen The Stepfather? It's supposed to be very good with him in it. It's like a psychological horror movie from the 80s with him. Always wanted to watch that.
Oh, I've never watched it.
Yeah, really need to get around to checking that out. He was in I watched Castle Rock, but I forgot him being in it. But man, yeah, he's great too. Let's see. Yeah, this movie, it's just I think the only like criticism I would have of the movie for Tombstone is that I think they end up having a couple of characters that kind of go nowhere. Like the stand-in sheriff guy, I feel like they spend a little bit too much time with him to not really like end up doing anything with his character. Like I thought he was going to end up, you know, like betraying them more actively. And they have a couple of sequences where it's almost like alluding to the fact that he's shady, but they never really like do anything with it. So I feel like his scenes.
The guy that is this has nothing to do with the county or whatever.
Yes, that guy.
The guy that is the definition of conflict of interest.
Yes,
because he's got his hands in everything. He's in the real estate. He's the sheriff. He's in the banking. Yeah,
they have like the setup where it looks like he's working with the bad guys, and I still don't even know if he did, but they just never had any like resolution to his character. Where if you're not gonna have resolution to his character, I feel like they should just cut his character.
Yeah,
but that is such a minor criticism because overall, I really like this movie. I think it's very good.
Yeah, whereas Terry O'Quinn kind of starts out that way, and then he has that line later where he's like, hey, you boys are making an awful lot of money since you've been in town. That's great. While everyone else is suffering and dying or whatever, and then he like leaves. Just leaves them with that. Just to leave them to think on that.
Bill fucking Paxton, yeah, I'm suffering from a fucking hangover, am I right, man? It's like such a goddamn Bill Paxton line.
There's a moment during the thunderstorm when he's like, that thunder's getting close. And I was like, the thunder's getting close. You're being nuked from orbit, Bill. That thunderstorm is fucking intense.
The lighting of the thunderstorm is also really cool. Would have been a
twister.
Yeah. The lighting is also super cool in that sequence where they have like the shots of like the buildings in town only lit up when certain like lightning bolts hit. It's pretty cool.
That lightning is completely insane, and then it cuts to him and Samuel Paxton. It's just like, man, that thunder sure sounds like it's getting close.
Also, just what other thing can we have just as a species a concentrated effort to go back and remaster the audio of older movies in which the sound effects and the music are 8,000 decibels and the dialogue is negative 8,000 decibels because that always drives me fucking crazy. It's like, we have so much technology. We can 3D print shit on the moon, but can I hear anyone talking in Tombstone when a gunshot's going off? Fuck no.
I was using headphones, so I didn't have that problem.
Okay, if you watch it over a TV, I was just fucking constantly lowering it and raising it because like the fucking gunshots probably, I almost got the cops called on me because they probably thought I actually had the fucking showdown at the goddamn OK Corral happening in my fucking apartment. Like, good God, dude.
Oh, that's amazing. He's wearing a wire.
Like, dude, one of the greatest Family Guy moments.
That's what it has to have sounded like in your apartment.
Yeah. That fucking scene, dude.
I got the stuff, you got the cash. I got the cash, you got the stuff. But not until I see the cash, well, not until I see the stuff. He's wearing a wire.
Fucking love it, dude.
Anyways. You were saying.
I love that scene we alluded to a little bit earlier, where after Kurt Russell just goes fucking Terminator mode in that fight near the river.
Oh yeah.
And he just like couldn't give less of a shit. And I love how and I love how typically what would happen in a Western like this, or like an older action movie, is the character would clearly do a thing in which he obviously would have been murdered instantly. Like, it is a literal miracle that he's alive. And I love that they take the time to actually acknowledge that.
Acknowledge it, yeah.
And yeah, they talk about it like with multiple characters instead of just having it be a thing that everyone just accepts. You know, like you think of like the Pulp Fiction scene where it literally becomes a plot point that they magically survived getting shot at point blank range in the apartment. You know, right. I love when they actually have it. Because, you know, it is a Western, but they take the time to actually not have it be silly.
That's what still... Doc Holliday was referencing, just to put it out there for the listeners, when he says he's down by the creek walking on water.
his delivery is so great.
It's so good.
He always just has this like this weird quirk to the way he talks, which I don't know if maybe it was going off of like recorded audio clips of Doc Holliday. I don't know like where they were getting his cadence from. But it just makes everything he says like it's so magnetic. I loved all of his scenes. Every time he's talking, you're just fucking glued to the television, dude.
I don't understand what the obsession with Flora was. Like everything, you're a daisy if you do. I'm your huckleberry. Like everything is fucking flowers and plant related. I'm just like, what is happening?
It's so weird, but so amazing at the same time.
But like no one's gonna call him out on it because he's Doc fucking Holliday.
It's Doc fucking Holliday, dude.
Yeah.
His showdown with Michael Biehn is really cool too.
Yeah, and the way Michael Biehn knows he's fucked when he sees a tuberculosis riddled man on his deathbed come at him with a gun, and he starts trying to back away from the fight.
I just tell him, you know, like you, and just like, dude, can you imagine the mental game that is Doc Holliday in your face on his deathbed telling you, yeah, we could go on your count, and you're just like, oh god. You know,
dude,
just the fucking hell.
The fact that they always show him playing poker when he's not playing that mental game with people in a gunfight, like there's a 1-to-1 there, right? There's a 1-to-1 reference there because it's the same demeanor. It's calling people's bluff, and are people going to call him? And he's always playing poker, or he's always in the middle of a showdown.
Another fucking amazing line that was just delivered magnificently by Val Kilmer. Outside of all of them, I love the instance where he's talking with Johnny Ringo, and he's like, "You must be Doc Holliday. That's the rumor. You retired too? Not me. I'm in my prime." When he's just clearly dying at all times. You're just like, I fucking love this dude. It's like one of my favorite characters in fiction now is fucking Doc Holliday in this dude. He's just the best.
His reaction when Ringo starts speaking back in Latin. That was
evidently Mr. Ringo's an educated man. Now I really hate him.
Now I really hate him.
It's fucking great. Every line, just like scroll to the fucking IMDb quotes page and just look at this wonderful dialogue written for him. And it's interesting too, is that kind of wry humor is a present in The Mummy too, with a lot of the characters.
Yep.
There's a lot of what is it? O'Connell? Is that the main dude in The Mummy? There's a lot in his dialogue that feels influenced by the type of writing that was with Doc Holliday in this.
Not only that, since you point that out, there's also a lot of pointing out the tropes of the genre. Like when she opens the Book of the Dead and the campfire blows around, and he just goes, "That happens a lot around here."
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, where you are using the tropes, but since you're kind of being like meta about them, you can have comedy with it.
Right.
And yeah.
But it's not it's not outside of the boundaries of the movie. It's not outside the boundaries of the character, so it works.
That's another thing too that I really appreciate about this movie is the fact that they allow it to be, while it is serious, it is also interlaced with a lot of comedy. Because one of the problems with like, especially like classic westerns, if you go back and watch them
They're
today,
so boring.
they're very dry. They're very methodical, but like painfully methodical. Where when you finish the movie, it's still technically a good movie, but it's not entertaining. It's not fun to watch. This is very fun to watch while also being like a classic Western in tone. And I really, really appreciated about that. That about this movie is because this movie is like a little over 2 hours long, but it feels a lot faster than that. Because usually when you're watching a Western, it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it feels as long as like Zack Snyder's Justice League, and you're just like, good God, can I please stop this movie? But I never felt that watching this.
So if you want to talk about the humor in the movie, can we talk about one of my favorite moments that literally made me burst out laughing in the middle of the night, sitting in the dark in my living room with headphones on by myself, worried I might have woken up my wife in the next room.
Uh-oh.
And that is when the dude gets in Kurt Russell's face and shows his gun, and Kurt Russell whips his gun out of his belt and pistol whips him with it.
That scene is fucking awesome, dude. I rewound that like 3 times because it's so good.
That is Scott Pilgrim jumping out of the window.
He literally fucking bonks him, dude.
You can just insert the cartoon, just bonk when they get hit with a mallet.
It's like it's a fucking Looney Tunes moment, and it's the best. Like, this movie's awesome.
Like you
thank you, Bobby.
Bugs Bunny doing awesome. That.
Thank you, Bobby. This movie is fucking awesome, and there's so many quotes that are just gonna become like I have not yet begun to defile myself is in my permanent repertoire.
It hasn't even like. It happens so quick, it doesn't even register to me what's about to happen before he does it. He just whips it out and hits the guy in the head with it, and then hands the gun over to fucking Virgil. I can't think of his Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
Just hands it over to Sam Elliott. just whack-a-moles the guy right on top of the head.
They're so awesomely nonchalant. Another great Doc Holliday line is Wyatt talking to him, and he asks Doc Holliday, "How are you?" "I'm dying. How are you?"
That sounds like a Bobby line. That sounds like something Bobby would say.
But then like you have all of this like comedy with it, but then you have like just like man, that scene when he's talking to him literally on his deathbed. And he's talking to me, he's playing cards with him. He's like, "Damn it, you're the most fallible, stubborn, self-deluded, bullheaded man I've ever known in my entire life." And he says, "I call, you win. You're the only human being in my entire life that ever gave me hope." And you're just like, God damn, man, I'm going to fucking cry over this 30-year-old Western. And it's just like, man, so good.
I do like how they also blatantly acknowledge that Doc Holliday's, this is becoming the Doc Holliday podcast, but...
As it should, because he's fucking amazing.
But, when you see like I said, you see his girlfriend like keep pouring him another drink when he's on a 36-hour bender and all these things, and she's giving him a cigarette after the doctor leaves, telling him he's got 2 days or 2 weeks or whatever, 2 years, and he's just like, "You may be the Antichrist."
yeah, it's true. You are a good woman. Then again, you may be the Antichrist. Another great one. "It appears my hypocrisy knows no bounds." Great fucking line.
Such a good line.
It's so good.
Because before that, he had one saying that his hypocrisy only goes so far, right? And then the callback to it is apparently it knows no bounds.
The dialogue is fucking great. Like, they have that instance where Doc Holliday is talking about how he's calling out Kurt Russell about going to talk to the actress, and he's like, "I stand corrected, Wyatt. You're an oak." And I love that callback to where he's horseback riding with her, and he's like, I'm an oak, all right," or whatever he says.
That is the one. That is a character that didn't work for me. Also, I think Dana Delaney was great in that role, but the character herself, I guess I understand that she's important, but it doesn't feel like they knew what to do with her.
Yeah, I think she is important for the movie,
and the character.
She's an important character because she is what is having because what they want to do is they want to have Wyatt Earp have nothing to lose while also having something to lose, where he's not just where he is reckless, but he does have something he wants in the end.
You're right.
But what I would have done to fix that is she just doesn't have enough screen time. They should have completely deleted the character of the slimy county sheriff guy and had more scenes with her, and I think you flesh her out better as a character if you just give her more time, because like you said, she's good and their chemistry is good when they have scenes together.
I like her character.
Me too.
It's just like they didn't know how to fold her in. It's like they felt like they had to have her, but they didn't know how to do it.
she kind of like disappears from the movie for like an hour, which is bizarre since she ends up being like the
So
main love
huge,
interest.
yeah.
But
at the end of the movie, I was just like, "Yay, adultery!" You're supposed to be so happy for them. I was just like, "He's married, lady."
Yeah.
I was like, "He's still married." I just want to point out, I'm just the guy in the background, still married.
But they also like, it was kind of weird. They have them. She like in the rainstorm. She like walks away from him, and does she ever show up again? I don't think his wife is ever seen again. So like, were they kind of showing
on the
saying,
train?
like she? Oh, okay.
She's on the train.
Was she on the train with Sam Elliott? Okay,
Yes.
okay. But yeah,
the train that leads off the set.
yeah. Yeah, you told her
Right behind you. Yeah,
man.
But
yeah, these are all minor quibbles, and just the fact that like the complaints we have are pretty minor like that. I think overall the movie's still very good.
So, is it canon? Can we confirm Sam Elliott's character in this movie eventually regains the use of his arm through a deal with the devil in which he becomes Ghost Rider?
I think it's his mustache. I think his mustache can magically his mustache is just like calculated amounts of stem cells. And yeah, that's he's fine.
His mustache is the chain that Ghost Rider uses.
Can we have a spinoff sequel made right now of that? Because I would watch that right now.
Because you remember that, right? He's got a cameo in the first Ghost Rider movie.
Yes,
as an old that badass moment when they're going through the desert. He's on horseback and Nick Cage is on the motorcycle, and it's like fucking demon horse from hell.
Yeah, why can't we have like a Ghost Rider prequel show
with Sam Elliott?
That'd be great. I would watch the fuck out of that.
Yeah, that'd be great. He's too busy doing that 1800 show.
Yeah. I think I've kind of touched on everything I had. Do you have any other instances with the like cast or movie or anything in particular you wanted to talk about?
The only thing that I noted that we haven't talked about yet in specific is from now on, I am ending everything with "and Tom Mix wept." I don't know, for some reason, the way the narrator says that at the end, I burst out laughing. There's something about the way the narrator says it, not the subject matter, right, or anything like that, because it's all sad. But it feels like the way the narrator reads it, it's like there was a period in the middle of a sentence. So it sounded like "and Tom Mix wept" was just added later, like ad lib almost at the end. And something about it was just kind of jarring at the end, right before credits, and it made me laugh. And all I could think about was, I want to end every podcast, every tweet, every YouTube video, everything with "and Tom Mix wept."
I had one person out there would understand the reference, and it'd probably be Bobby.
And the 3 people that listen to this show.
Yeah. Who have not seen Tombstone, so they would not get the reference.
Oh, but yeah, that was the only other thing is I have in quotes in my notes, "and Tom Mix wept."
I forgot about that, but I totally get it. It's great. This movie rules. I love this movie. This is one every now and then I'm just gonna watch a fucking highlight reel of the best like 5 scenes on YouTube of like fucking Star-Lord's dad doing the fucking pistol bonk. Every single line that Doc Holliday has, the spinning of the gun scene with Ringo and Doc Holliday. Like this movie has some like really iconic moments that, man, I fucking suck for only just now watching it, but I'm so happy that we got the chance to watch it. Check it out. It's great.
Yeah, I don't. I think the only other thing I think that we should mention is, while I'm sure that there are, because it was made in 1993, that there are some outdated like movie making or filmmaking techniques in it that people just don't do anymore. The only one that makes it feel like a movie from the early 90s or late 80s is when Bill Paxton gets shot and it goes into slow-mo as he falls.
Yeah.
That's the only one that really dates this movie. Otherwise, the filming and technique, I mean, if you're used to watching a movie from the 90s or the aughts, it's fine. It doesn't feel old at all, except for that one moment.
Actually, it reminds me of like when we covered Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I found it interesting that in Fellowship they did that a lot, and it always annoyed me. And I was so happy that Peter Jackson, like upon reviewing the first movie, was like, man, we got to stop doing that. It's really annoying. And I don't think it happens a single fucking time in Two Towers and Return of the King.
Like when J.J. Abrams publicly apologized for the lens flares.
For the lens flare.
Doing them. Yeah,
it was just I don't understand how it ever became like a common technique, because it doesn't add anything. It just it's weird, and it almost like takes me out of the movie, because
it's like a record scratch in the middle of the movie.
It's so jarring, and you're supposed to be like wrapped up in the emotions of the scene. You know, it's fucked up that he got shot at all, but to shoot him with his back turned playing pool is such as like a devastating, just real shitty way to go about it.
Especially the fact that they do that and he survives the shot for a while after, like he's not killed instant. So like,
Bill Paxton's awesome in this movie. We didn't really talk about Bill Paxton much. Bill Paxton's also very good in the scenes that he has in this.
I fucking love Bill Paxton and everything.
Man, there's a lot of actors that also you and I both loved.
Also an Aliens 2 alum, by the way. Him true. And Michael Biehn.
Yeah, I miss Powers Booth, and I miss Bill Paxton a lot.
I know.
They're so great. But sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say the use of the slow-mo is never understandable, but it's more understandable if that shot had killed him instantly.
True.
But then to just cut to him trying to have the bullet removed after this dramatic slow-mo fall while playing pool, it's kind of jarring, and at that point
takes you out of the movie.
As I say, you're into the movie and it pulls you right out of it.
Yeah, because like what you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to be like,
because this is the culmination of all the tension that's been building. It's finally culminating in this moment, and it's literally a record scratch taking you out.
Yeah, because when you do that, and it's not only slow motion. I think that
it's the only time they do it too. I believe, thankfully.
I think you're right. But what makes it really like awkward too is you're sucked into the characters. You know, like you're really invested in it, so you don't need that. Just the fact that it happened makes it a pivotal moment. You don't need to like pull me, because it makes me immediately remember that I'm watching a movie when you literally drop the fucking frame rate to single digits and just have slow motion for like
it was the shaders precompiling in the background.
Yeah. he's loading a fucking desert map in the background that he's about but it's what it is, you know, like they're literally dropping the frame rate to like fucking single digits, and it's like, God, stop it. I hate it in Lord of the Rings, the first movie. I hate it in that scene, because it's like, stop it. Just let the fucking moment be dramatic. You don't need.
I always remember Lord of the Rings being such a masterpiece. I'm shocked every time it happens in that movie.
Right.
I always forget it's a thing, and then because I think, like you said, it's only in the first one.
It's only in the first one.
18 times.
Okay. I take it back. There is an instance in the second and third movies that it has it's not as like obtrusive as it is in the first one, but when Aragorn's elf buddy gets killed in Helm's Deep is good. Yeah. That is great. But when they really and to your point, he dies immediately, basically.
Yes.
So and it's not just about him dying. It gives you
longer to take a moment like that in than just immediately cutting to him screaming on a pool table. Again, that is terrible, but at the same time, it completely wastes the use of that effect.
Yes, and that moment in the Two Towers also amplifies and adds a little bit more characterization to the elf guy, because as he's dying, he looks over at just how many elves are dead. So it really adds like a lot of gravitas to the scene, and I totally get it, and it totally works. But I think that is the only sequence, and it was only used to great effect. So I think they really did learn from just how much it was overused in Fellowship of the Ring. But yeah, I think that's a good point to make life how like thank God we've moved on from that trope, because it sucks.
That is the only thing. I don't know about you, but it's the only thing I could find that really dated the movie, because I mean, costumes are great. The filming and film quality, image quality. I don't know if what I watched, it was on Hulu. I don't know if what I watched has been up-resed or anything, but I thought it looked
Sets
great.
Are good.
Sets were good.
Sets are good.
It had a budget and it used it effectively. It had
the casting is magnificent. Like every single person's perfect. The characterization, the dialogue is great. It has like just two fucking amazing characters in those that I adore. And yeah, I agree.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yes, thank you, sir. This is a great choice. I would like to hear Bobby talk about what made him select it, because like Bobby's seen a lot of movies, so
we know why Soapy chose his movie. Now I'd like to hear from Bobby.
I would just like to hear like his like mindset behind picking it, because Bobby has a bajillion different fucking choices he can choose from. So when he picks one, I find it really, really interesting, because like just think of how many fucking DVDs Bobby owns. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but yes, great choice. Love this movie. Any other thing you want to touch on before we talk about the final entry of Friends and Family Month, and also just do some of the plugs and stuff?
I can't think of anything. I was just real quick, just jumping back into the email, because I want to say that in the email he specifically says that he basically just wanted to hear us talk about it. That was why he was picking. I want to say he included that in an email that we read.
I do not recall.
I didn't remember either, and I'm trying to jump through real quick, and I just accidentally closed the tab. All right, moving on.
All right, moving on.
Real quick, have you ever actually Googled?
One more thing.
Have you ever actually Googled what exactly is in laudanum?
No.
Because there's even that moment where she's got the top off and is just pouring it into her mouth.
Well, it's opium, isn't it?
It's opium and morphine.
Oh, it's combined? Oh, that's rough, dude.
It's a tincture of opium containing approximately 10% powdered opium by weight. Laudanum is prepared by dissolving extracts of the opium poppy in ethanol, and it says here that it's got like 1% like morphine or something in it. And it says here that it's also extremely, because I was curious, because I knew how it's used, and it's an important item in Darkest Dungeon, actually. And I just see her tipping the bottle back when she's in bed, and I was just like, oh my God. So I Googled it, and yeah, it's that is holy shit.
Tough stuff. otherwise known as the Wild West Jaeger bomb.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was knowing that, and then thinking about it includes morphine and codeine. So it's just like everything.
I mean, that's all of your basic food groups. That's all you eat, man.
Right.
Just throw one of those back before you do a little workout. It's a great time.
Yeah, laudanum is basically the protein shake of drugs, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean,
and it also says it's extremely bitter too, and she's just sitting there downing it like whiskey.
Also extremely good for gains, and that's what's the most important part. If you would like to watch more of our updates on the show, you can always follow our tweet over on Twitter at SPR Filmcast. Ron, where can people find you on the interwebs?
I am at RonSenseTV over on the Twitter.
There you go. Yeah, any ratings or reviews you can give us on any platform you found us on, greatly appreciated. And I will introduce what our final entry of this year's Friends and Family Month is going to be.
I am terrified. If anyone wanted to troll us, I feel like Aurora could either troll us as hard as Soapy or could give us something great. I feel like she could go either direction.
She has selected for us.
Oh no.
Cinderella, the 2015 live action remake.
Oh, yeah, that's not that bad.
Yeah, were you prepared for like what was the first thing that you thought it was going to be? Since you said you were worried about being trolled potentially. And first of all, no one is going to troll us as hard as Soapy ever again.
I'll see to it personally.
I'll turn the show around.
I didn't have a specific film in mind, but it just seemed like her and my wife Christina were going along the same thought path, because she wanted to pick Anastasia and then she wanted to pick Thumbelina, and it turns out Aurora was kind of thinking those two same at the same time, and yeah, it was just like, oh God, because I know Christina was. I thought she was gonna hurt herself trying to think of something to do to us, and I was just like, I don't know Aurora, but from what I do know, it seems like she has a similar list of films that she could just unroll and it drops to the floor.
Yeah, the final edition. Man, these months always go by quick, like you said, but man, they're really fun. I like when we just hand the fucking reins of the show over and just like, oh God, what are we gonna watch?
Just along for the ride.
Yeah, but yeah, be sure to check it out. I will quickly just browse to see what platforms it's on. I believe
saw
it's
Cinderella
actually
in theaters, by the way.
I believe it's actually weirdly not on. Yeah, it is not on Disney Plus, which was bizarre to me because we
That's because
watched
they're making a new one.
Oh, they are.
Uh-huh.
I was not aware.
Yeah,
It's so weird to me. Like some of the stuff that you think would like blatantly be on Disney Plus is not, and then they have some shit where you're just like, this is on Disney Plus. Like,
I think it's one of those that they. It was right when they started doing the live action stuff, and I want to say that they kind of want you to forget it happened.
they also have weirdly, I think, one of the Maleficents on Disney Plus, but not both of them, which makes no sense to me.
I think there's some rights stuff going on with some of this also.
It's very possible. Disney rights just across the board.
These things will eventually be there because they just Disney is trying to get everything, all their stuff back on one platform. So, yeah, it's okay.
And man, along for the ride.
Lily James is all I'm saying.
All right. So yeah, be sure to check that out.
Either. No mice.
We'll be sure to check that out and have that next week. And it's gonna be weird to go back to like actually picking the show again. It's just like, oh, this is strange. I have to come up with I have to come up with an idea. That fucking sucks.
Right? I haven't had an original idea since 1986.
But yeah, that kind of sums up our show. And we appreciate you listening. Everyone have a good night.
And Tom Mix wept.